Culture and of the startup scene, and I'm very glad to see at least quite a few people, despite the fact that there are many other sessions going on today on the Israel Congress, to elaborate on the topic that we have today and get a professional insight to the various aspects and challenges regarding Jerusalem as a city of coexistence and startup scene. I'm very happy to have four highly knowledgeable and experienced panelists that have come all the way from Jerusalem to tell you more about what they do. Just some very brief words about myself. I'm not a professional moderator, actually. I'm the representative of one of the major community foundations in Jerusalem called Keren Yerushalayim, the Jerusalem Foundation. It was founded by a very famous man called Teddy Kollek. You're all very young, I see, so those ones among you that don't know Teddy Kollek, he became very famous by the fact that he was the mayor of Jerusalem for 5 times. He was re-elected 5 times, so for 28 years he even made it into the Guinness Book of Records for this, because he was the longest serving mayor of all times. He was extremely popular throughout all population groups in Jerusalem. And his big aim, his big target was to make Jerusalem a modern, a pluralistic city for all inhabitants and a tolerant city. And he once described his city as the symbol of ancient glory, spiritual fulfillment and modern renewal. So there we are. I thought it's a good point. Kollek said Jerusalem, the power of Jerusalem was in its ability to constantly reinvent itself. So I'm eager to know, of course, more about how each of the panelists sees this and how each of you contribute to making Jerusalem, the 3,000-year-old city, one of the fastest growing startup cities in the world. And to talk about this in more in-depth, I'm going to start with Sarit Goldstein. Sarit is the Deputy Director General of the Ministry of Jerusalem and Heritage Affairs. She has a very long-standing, very impressive background, civil servant for 8 years, initially in the Department of Interior, Planning and Development in the Prime Minister's Office. Then for a few years she managed the implementation of governmental resolutions aimed at strengthening the city of Jerusalem. In 2014, Sarit was appointed the head of the Jerusalem Department in the Ministry of Jerusalem and Heritage. 2016, she was the acting Director General of the Ministry, and now, as the Deputy Director General of the Ministry of Jerusalem in charge of governmental activity for the development of the capital, as well as in the fields of planning and budget. So great to have you with us, Sarit. Michael Mizrahi, next to me, he heads the Research, Innovation and Entrepreneurship Authority at the Azrieli College of Engineering. I'm sure all of you are familiar with this very famous institution in Jerusalem. He's also the director of the A2B Accelerator within the Azrieli College, and he is also member of the board of by now very famous Jerusalem non-profit called Made in Jerusalem. Actually, you have a long company and industrial and technological career. You have been at ECI, Teva, MOD as the Director of Operations in China. You've been with Bioenergy, always in leading positions, and just to name a few. So you are bringing a lot of industry and technological knowledge to this panel, and we are great to welcome you today, Michael. Then, Avital Blass, actually the only certified pastry chief So the only one with a really visibly sweet tooth on this panel. Avital, she is the program manager of Excellenzteam at a very famous Startup Nation Central, very well-known company in Israel, and you are a graduate of the Amirim honorary program at the Hebrew University, Avital. Previously, you have been the director of the arts community at a company called New Spirit. You're going to tell us more about this. And then director of Toolbox, an accelerator which encourages young creatives to open sustainable businesses in Jerusalem. And last but not least, there's Yitzik Crombie, the CEO of Bizmax and a pioneer in the ultra-Orthodox founders community. Yitzik has founded the first innovative business center for Haredi men who are residents of Jerusalem. And looking at your career, Yitzik, you are bringing lots of startup founding knowledge to this panel. You have been the founder and CEO of iSale. It's a mobile guided selling platform. You have been the co-founder at the Haredi High-Tech Forum and co-founder and managing partner at Bnei Brak Incubator. So, thanks very much for joining this panel and bringing lots of interesting ideas to this whole session today. Before we go into the discussion, I just want to say a few introductory words about Jerusalem. It's the biggest city in Israel, almost 900,000 inhabitants by now. But it's the poorest city. I know it from my own work. We do fundraising for Jerusalem. It's a city with really marked social and economic gaps in the population. It's a very diverse population structure. 2/3 of Jerusalem's inhabitants are Orthodox, Jews and Arabs. And they obviously lag behind technological education and workforce participation. And so this practically, unfortunately, disqualifies them as employees in the high-tech industry. So how to cope with this unique challenge of the city and how to make this diversity an asset rather than an obstacle. Let's see what you have to say on this. And I start with Sarit. Sarit, first of all, I'm sure the audience is very eager to know what your ministry is all about, when it was founded, how exactly, what is your agenda, also in connection with the panel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Ministry of Jerusalem and Heritage Affairs was formed approximately 5 years ago, under the understanding that Jerusalem, as Gabi mentioned, has many challenges. It's the largest city in Israel. It has distinct socioeconomic gaps, diverse population, and there was a realization that if we want to keep Jerusalem strong and we want to thrive in years to come, we need to narrow these gaps and we need to harness and leverage the advantages that the city has. So basically the ministry is dealing with 4 main issues. First of which is tourism. Jerusalem has a vast touristic potential. It's not fulfilled. We need to make sure that we have the right infrastructure, such as enough hotels, roads, even translation to different languages. A tourist from China can't really get around in a city when you don't have the right interior and translation. Not just linguistic, but also cultural. So that's one thing that we are very interested in. The second thing is narrowing socioeconomic gaps, especially between the Arab population and the rest of the city's inhabitants. We have a panel that is specific on this subject on 1:30, if anyone is interested to learn more about it. Then there is bettering the image, the public image of Jerusalem in the world's eyes, how it is conceived in a legal point of view. how we conceive in the social media. So we're having many collaborations. This conference is one of the collaborations that is aimed also at bettering the public image of Jerusalem. And the fourth main issue that we're trying to promote is how to strengthen and enhance the advanced technology and advanced industry in Jerusalem. And 10 years ago, we were trying to attract big companies by giving grants, and we just came up to the companies and say, okay, move your operation to Jerusalem and we'll give you a grant and we'll help you with this and that. And it took us a few years to understand that the private sector doesn't need the governmental funds to move the operation. We need to help the public center grow in Jerusalem. We need people like Mizrahi and Avital and Yitzik, and we stopped the post for a few months and thought about a new strategy. And the new strategy was to learn from the people who move the wheels of technology, the people who form startups, people from the academy, what they need in order to grow and develop in Jerusalem. And that's what we're trying to do now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, academy, thank you, Sarit, was a good buzzword, because this brings Michael into the play. Michael, as I said, the head of the Research, Innovation and Entrepreneur Authority of the Azrieli Academic College and of Engineering, and also the director of A2B. Michael, can you tell us a bit more about those two institutions? When preparing the panel, I read about you saying that you want to transform Jerusalem into one of the world's leading 20 cities for startups and entrepreneurs. So how does your position at the Azrieli College and your directorship at A2B help you achieve this vision and this mission?
So, thank you. It's not me personally. We have a non-profit called Made in Jerusalem, and we have a great honor to have another board member here in the audience, Hanil. Hi. We looked at the situation and saw that Jerusalem has everything it needs to have in order to have a very successful ecosystem of startups in the city. We have the government, we have the best universities, we have the funds, the JVP, Our Crowd, Cornerstone, the VCs are located in Jerusalem. We have community events, we have mentors, we have large companies that buy innovation, like recently Intel bought Mobileye. We saw that we have every ingredient to have this fantastic story of Startup Nation growing also in Jerusalem, but it's not happening. It's all in the center of the country in Tel Aviv and Herzliya. So we together, the community leaders, funded a non-profit organization aiming to serve as a political lobby, if you wish, to push the government and to push the municipality towards this right direction. And we had people listening to us and helping us. In the beginning we did three things. We did collecting, connecting, and branding. We collected the know-how about Jerusalem, about the startups growing the city. We did PR for the ecosystem of Jerusalem, and branded the city as a startup hub. So in the beginning we counted 37 early stage startups. In the end of the process, after 2.5 years, we had 700. And it's not because anything that we did, it's because of the municipality and the help of the government and the help of the different communities and organizations in the city. We managed to plot every startup on an active map on our website, and we started to connect them to one another. We had a calendar on our website so we won't overlap each other's events, so we can help each other. And there's a saying within Made in Jerusalem: when you ask somebody in Tel Aviv, you're going to tell him about the great idea you have for a startup, he will say, wow, that's a great idea, tell me when you succeed. And when you say it to a Jerusalemite, he will say, wow, that's a great idea, what can I do to help? So in Jerusalem we had, for example, the startup Genome conducting their annual review about hubs around the world. And they marked the 20 hubs, the leading hubs for startups in the world. And Jerusalem marked 20 in the world. And this is a huge achievement. And it is an achievement because 2 years ago we weren't even on the report. We were a part of Tel Aviv. So creating an ecosystem, boosting the ecosystem up is a great help of all of this, all of my partners. And of course we have the little part of A2B in this story. So I'm coming from the Azrieli College of Engineering, the only institute teaching only engineering in Jerusalem. We are truly Jerusalemite. It's not an ivory tower of 10% getting accepted. You see the Arab, the ultra-Orthodox, the Jewish, the non-Jewish, the Christian, the Muslims, and all of them are speaking the same language, engineering, technology, and innovation. We have 80% of our students coming from Jerusalem, 40% Arabs, 34% women, which is the highest in the state studying engineering and one of the highest in the world. And we have also a special campus for ultra-Orthodox women studying engineering. Within the college, we have A2B Startup Accelerator. We aim to encourage and help students, alumni, people from Jerusalem and the area wanting to develop their idea into a startup company, and we give them 4 tools to do it. Fantastic co-working space, very intensive program and lots of connections, full academic support. Whatever we have in the college is at their disposal. They can use whatever they want, 3D print whatever they want, use the labs, use the wind tunnel. We have a small-scale factory to produce drugs and medicine in-house if they want to produce drug delivery system. And within, we are working very, very hard to be as diverse as possible. Last cohort of A2B, we had 40% CEO women in the accelerator, and we are quite successful in what we do. And we even have a collaboration with Accelerator Frankfurt here in Frankfurt. So that's us in a nutshell.
Yeah, so that sounds very interesting, also very encouraging, to be very honest, because I had prepared a second question for you regarding the young people sort of being educated in Jerusalem and then looking out for job opportunities in Tel Aviv and Herzliya. So would you say this trend is decreasing already due to all these initiatives that, for example, you and also Sarit, the government, are offering? Or would you say it's still, the majority of people are still looking out to sort of get a great education in Jerusalem, but then hopping off to Herzliya, Tel Aviv, and Crombie for the big jobs?
So, talking about numbers, we still are lacking lots of work positions in Jerusalem. We have several advantages in comparison to Tel Aviv and Herzliya, but we are still lacking job positions in Jerusalem, the capital. And as far as we can, we're doing whatever we can in order to be a part of the solution and not the problem. So encouraging startups grow in the city, and we can tell and we can see that they are actually recruiting lots of engineers, young alumni of the college to the companies and raising a lot of money. So this is good news, and I believe that together with the ecosystem working together hand in hand, we can even overcome this as well.
Yeah. So let's put the microphone to Avital, another of the 4 panelists with quite an impressive background and also with a lot of knowledge when it comes to educating young graduates from the Haredi and the Arab background. Actually, in your job as the program manager of Excellenzteam, you are dealing a lot with computer science and programming, obviously. And as I mentioned before, you're also a certified pastry chef. So, what motivates a certified pastry chef to deal with computer science and programming? To start off with.
Okay, so a bit of background. I work in Startup Nation Central, which is a company that connects the Israeli high-tech startup scene to the worldwide ecosystem. In the past year and a half, as part of strengthening the Israeli ecosystem from the inside, we started dealing with the subject of human capital. And in a research conducted in 2017, we discovered that the high-tech industry in Israel is missing over 12,000 skilled workers. Now, I'm not speaking about QA or marketing. I'm speaking about core positions. And when we were trying to think of what solutions we can offer, we were asking who isn't participating in this game of high-tech. And we saw three main communities: women, Arabs, and ultra-Orthodox Haredis. So I'm going to touch upon three reasons. I'm not going to touch on the subject of women, only ultra-Orthodox and Arabs. And I'm going to mention three reasons that we identified. There's obviously more reasons. And I'm also going to say that there are a lot of graduates, Arabs and Haredi women especially, who study computer science. And there's 17% of the students in computer science are Arabs, but in the industry, we're speaking about 2%. And there's hundreds of Haredi women every year graduating, and yet their percentage in the core positions is very low. So one reason we can mention is a gap in knowledge. I'm not speaking about a gap of skills or intelligence, just knowledge. And to take, for example, Haredi women, mostly they won't go and study in university, but in different colleges. And often there is a difference in what they study, and there is a gap of knowledge that needs to be bridged. Another reason that can be is a cultural difference. Have you ever heard about the term chutzpah? Means how Israelis often allow themselves to be a tiny bit cheeky. Let's say I want to get a good job in a company, and I'll send my CV and I won't get an answer, so maybe I'll send my CV to the CEO. I'll feel that it's something that I could do. And we see in those communities that maybe are more polite and traditional, that is something that is less likely. So that is just one example for cultural differences. And another difference that we saw is networking. Israeli that goes through the army, that goes to university, meets a lot of people and creates himself a network that can afterwards help him get a very good job. So there's many answers and solutions, great answers and solutions, and we identified one that we're doing, which is a boot camp. That's an Excellenzteam program, a 3.5-month boot camp for graduates of computer science, where they get also technological training. Some of it is bridging that gap between university and college, and some of it is actually getting a hands-on experience, as if they're coming with their first job, having a portfolio of work that they do during this boot camp. And the other part is soft skills. How should I write a CV? If I studied only with women and now I need to be a part of the team with men, how should I behave and still keep my limits if I have religious limits? And after these 3.5 months, we're sending them to interview to big companies that are part of this program, such as Mobileye, which you have probably heard that name, Lightflix, 40 Nuggets, Excellenzteam, big Jerusalem-based companies. By the way, it's a pilot, obviously, happening in Jerusalem, because we believe if this succeeds in Jerusalem, it can succeed afterwards in the rest of Israel. And me, as a pastry chef, why am I doing it? I really believe in Jerusalem. I love the city. And I know that many people see diversity in Jerusalem as a key challenge. And as more as I get to know the different communities, I'm not saying there aren't challenges, but I see it as a key for change. And I'm very proud and happy to be part of the change.
Yeah, actually, I read, when I researched about you, Avital, I read a statement by your CEO, by Eugene Campbell. He said, Israel, it's an interview that was published just a few weeks ago, Israel doesn't have a choice but to integrate women, Haredim, and Arabs into the core of the high-tech industry. Integration into tech will address their social mobility, and it will provide the industry with a large pool of talent it needs so much to grow. Would that be like a description to your job, more or less, to fulfill this task?
I think it's exact. Because also we came to answer a problem as a high tech, but in the same time, giving people good jobs in high tech is giving them social mobility. Yeah. It's giving them a chance to change their place in society.
Yeah. So I want to bring Yitzik into the picture because, the word challenge came up in every speech so far, and I think you are also facing a big challenge with Bizmax. At least from what I have been reading, according to the latest statistics, and please correct me, Yitzik, Jerusalem currently has 211,000 ultra-Orthodox, but only 50% of the males are employed, and more
42.
Sorry?
42%.
42.
In Jerusalem.
In Jerusalem,
50%
right.
of the men.
Yeah, and over half of the Haredi families in Jerusalem fall under the poverty line, as far as I know. So can your Bizmax be a solution to help Haredi men get out of poverty, and how?
So, first of all, Bizmax is part of Kemach. Kemach is an organization founded 8 years ago to help Haredim deal with this challenge of join the workforce. We have scholarship program, very big scholarship for academic and vocational training for more than 30,000 Haredim, ultra-Orthodox men and women, not just for ITEC, for all the industry and a lot of skills. And we have a placement center, a big placement center in Jerusalem. At the last 4 years, we made more than 7,000 placements. It's together with the government and the municipality of Jerusalem. And then 2 years ago, we opened Bizmax as entrepreneurship, and we have a co-working space for 100 companies that's sitting over there. They can rent a space, open space or private offices, and they have all their meeting room and all the facilities, but the main, and we have a lot of activities over there, like workshops and consulting, business consulting, but the most important thing over there is that's the community. We build a community for ultra-Orthodox men, a business community. We live in a close community. The Haredim live in communities, but it's just a culture community. We build a very strong business community. But first of all, I want to make something clear. A lot of people think about the Haredim, the ultra-Orthodox community in Israel, and they said, you want to be poor, you don't want to work, don't work, deal with your problem. So we can say it's a social problem, and there is a social problem between the groups in the society of Israel. But if you look about the economic, we look about the numbers. the Orthodox community in Israel, we are more than 10% of the society in Israel, and I think 26% of the society in Jerusalem. And as Gabriele said before, only 50% of the men and 70% of the women are part of the workshops. And also the 50% of the men are part of the workshop. If we talk about the high-tech industry, so just 2.5% of the men, the Charedim, who are working are part of the high-tech industry. Instead of 9%, of between 9 to 11% of the other population in Israel. So the impact of this community on the economic of Israel, of all the economic, it's very, very. It's not just a challenge of the community; it's challenge of all the economy in Israel. So we can talk here about the relationship between Israel to Germany, and we can talk about the impact of the BDS, about the economic, and we can talk about a lot of things, but all these problems are very, very small problems for the economy with this problem that we are dealing with. Because we need to know another thing, that now we are 10% of the population and the society, but according to the researchers, in 20 years from now, we will be 25% of the population. So a community that has 20 or 25% of the population, with just 50% of the men are working, it's very, as I said, it's a big challenge, and it's a big problem, and we need to do something to solve this problem. Not for us, not for the community, for the state of Israel, for the economy of the state of Israel. As you said, Eugene just said a few weeks ago, and they always said about, and that's why the Minister of Jerusalem and Heritage are part of Bizmax, and we're working with the Startup Nation Center, we're working with the Azrieli and Made in JLN, with all the organizations, with all the tools that we can use to deal with this problem.
Yeah. So Sarit, obviously there's know-how, there is the human capital, like Yitzik and Avital are dealing with, and there's the infrastructure. So those, to me, are the three factors of success to deal with the problem. But still, when you think of high-tech, many people still think of Tel Aviv. So are you trying to interconnect between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv somehow? And if so, what are the reactions from the Tel Avivians?
I think that the key word here is cooperation and collaboration. As the city of Jerusalem, it's the capital city of Israel, obviously, we're not in competition with the city of Tel Aviv. I think it's not a competition, it's about how to make the cake larger, so to speak. I think that what happened in Tel Aviv was very fast and rapid, and it's not just Tel Aviv, it's the whole Tel Aviv metropolis in Israel, Tel Aviv, Herzliya, and the entire area. They already have a very vibrant scene of also startups, but also a more established high-tech advanced industry. And I think in Jerusalem we're just the younger brother right now, and it's a process. You talked earlier about does people look for jobs in Jerusalem or in Tel Aviv, and also Avital and Michael and Yitzik spoke about it. Let's say Michael mentioned that Jerusalem grew from 70 startup companies to almost 700. Let's say that 50% of them failed. It's not an entire failure, because the people that used to work in those failed startups, they're now more experienced and they have more skills to get accepted to the bigger companies such as Mobileye, Excellenzteam, and so on. So I don't see it as a competition. I see it as, let's say, a work of a lot of organizations together, government, private sector, public sector, obviously, in order to enhance the strength that Jerusalem has. For example, we need to do a better collaboration or more collaborations between industry and the academy. The industry tells us what it needs. The academy doesn't always. Michael, you mentioned earlier the ivory tower, the academic ivory tower. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. So one of our main efforts is trying to work with the academy in order to have more skilled graduates when they finish. You don't just graduate from school and become a successful engineer in a big high-tech company. You have to have a whole process, and we're trying to shorten this process now. So it's not about competition; it's about giving the right tools to become more like our, let's say, big brother.
Yeah. Okay. You just mentioned making the cake larger. There I'm addressing Yitzik. Are you planning to make your Bizmax cake larger? Let's say by extending the idea of your hub to other cities or regions abroad, like to Russia or to America, where there are lots of alpha. Do you think that would work abroad, or is it just thinking local at the moment?
I think probably it can work, but our focus is not to deal with the problems of all around the world and all around the cities. I'm dealing with the problem of the Haredi community in Israel, and especially in Jerusalem. For example, scholarship, we get scholarships. We're giving scholarships for students from all the country. But Bizmax and Kivun, that's a placement center, and I think most of our programs are dealing with Jerusalem. I think the main reason, first of all, that's most of the Haredi community live in Jerusalem. That's the focus of the community. But if we cannot we cannot select the problem of the Haredi community in Jerusalem, we cannot do it also in Bnei Brak or in other places. Now in Jerusalem, as I said, 28% of the workforce, the people in the age of workforce are Haredi, and only 42% of them are part of the workforce. So we have the biggest problem in the Haredi community. It's in Jerusalem, and that's why we're dealing with Jerusalem.
Avital, I want to ask you, talking about the Haredi graduates and also the Arab graduates, how do you approach and attract them to your Excellenzteam program? And also, are you also looking abroad for like maybe scholarships or exchanges between the graduates? Do you have anything on your mind already in that field?
I'll start with the first part of the question. To be accepted to the program, people go through a lot of tests and exams to be accepted to Excellenzteam. And they have 2 days and kind of equivalent of psychometry. You have that. Yeah. They have a day of technological test and another technological interview, even before we just speak with them. So it's not easy to get into this program because it's a pilot and we're doing a proof of concept and we're accepting the most capable right now. The people who come into this program get a monthly scholarship of 5,000 shekel for each month that they're in the program. And you might ask, being this kind of boot camp, usually people pay a lot of money to be in this boot camp, and not only that they're not paying, but they're also getting a scholarship. And one thing that we identified as interesting, I think especially in these communities, is take, for example, a Haredi woman who is a breadwinner for her family, and she just graduated after 4 years of studying. And someone needs to bring supper to the table. So she might get a job, that's true. And she might get a job for 5, 6, 7 shekel. And he said, why should I go now and do this program when I can get a QA job? And at least I know I have the sweat to go to the supermarket and buy food. So we identified that and we said, okay, you know, for these 3.5 months, we're taking care of that. We want you to be 100% focused and really getting through it successfully through this boot camp. So afterwards, your first salary will be 3 times at least of what you could have got. So that is a real, it was interesting. I was surprised that it would be a challenge to bring people because I thought, when you're speaking of people who really need to bring, the salary home, then it's a real thing. And are we thinking of the exchange? I think right now we are very local in that way. Also, as Yitzik mentioned, also because we're doing proof of concept, and also because another interesting cultural difference, again with Haredi women, is we don't speak with them about careers. We speak about jobs. It's a different way of seeing life because your family is also a very important part of your life, and it's not that you invest yourself now in career and you put that aside. We're speaking of jobs and family. So I think telling them something about let's advance and exchange, it's like we're starting 50-50.
Yeah. So petit à petit, Michael, you're also trying to grow your A2B accelerator in Jerusalem, although it's quite big already. Sarit just mentioned the competition. Do you feel that there is competition already growing between the various hubs and accelerators in Jerusalem, and do you think it's a good thing? Or because it means that everybody needs to really get going to be better than the other one, or do you think it's rather an obstacle to the further growth of these hubs and accelerators like A2B?
So I believe that it is definitely focused or more towards collaboration than competition. So I believe that an ecosystem is not one place. It should be several accelerators, several hubs, and this is what brings people in to the city. They know that there is a scene. A scene is not one accelerator. So we saw it in Frankfurt when we opened Accelerator Frankfurt over here. There were maybe 1 or 2 programs, and the city needs more. When we thought about opening Accelerator Frankfurt in collaboration with Unibato, Goethe University, and now Sentiment here, people told us, no, go to Berlin. The scene is over there. Why go to Berlin? If you wanna create something for people that know a thing or two about banking, about risk management, about insurance, and nobody goes to the bank anymore, what can you do to help those people and to use this creativity in order to grow the ecosystem of the banking capital of Europe? So this is what we did here, and what we are doing in Jerusalem is the same thing. We're doing collaboration and not competition. So there are like 270 programs of acceleration in Israel. That's a lot. 100 programs has their own physical place. So, for example, it could be a large corporation that actually working within WeWork or Regis or something. So we have our own physical place. But statistics shows that only 1 in every 10 companies is raising money, and the pre-seed money is only $100,000 to $200,000. If you look at A2B, 5 out of 7 raised 22.5 million. So we must be doing something right. And this is what brings other countries to Jerusalem to learn from us and actually copy a working program to Bosnia, to Serbia, to Macedonia, to large research institutes. And the news now from Jerusalem is that we competed over a very, very large amount of money, 20 million shekels, which is quite a bit, with other 19 institutes from around the country. So third place, 10 million shekels, won the Technion from Haifa. Second place, Tel Aviv University together with Shenkar, 15 million. And we won the 20 million together with Hebrew University and Bezalel, creating impact for the city of Jerusalem called JLM Impact. And we're going to actually use the academia to enhance and encourage the spirit of innovation and technology in the city of Jerusalem. So we see collaboration and not competition.
Yitzik, hearing those figures, wouldn't that attract also Haredi females when they hear these numbers, when they hear about these challenges and opportunities? Do you think Bizmax could also extend its work to Haredi females? Are you thinking about this? Because the numbers that Michael just mentioned are so impressive that, you know, it could solve lots of problems also for the Haredi families, just talking about the money and the poverty.
I think it's almost the same answer that I told you about why we are focused just in Jerusalem and not why we are not open business in Russia. The Haredi community, first of all, we need to understand why the Haredi community, 50% of the Haredi community, men and also the women, why most of them are not working. The Haredi community is a very unique community with very unique way of life, and maybe some people from outside it's hard to understand, but the Haredi community don't want to integrate with the Israeli society. That's the base of everything. You need to understand. Most of the people want to be separate, and with the conflict of I want to be part of the workforce, but I want to keep my way of life. Most of the people will choose to keep the way of life, even if they need to pay to be poor. What we are trying to do and what we are doing in Bizmax and in all other programs, it's to break the conflict, to show the people that you can be, you can keep your way of life, you can keep your rules and values and everything, and you want to be separate, you want to do like this, however you want to do. And we give you the opportunity to do it in the most technological and innovation and to open a business and to do everything. So you can be an engineer, you can be a doctor, you can be everything, and you don't need to. You can keep your way of life, and that's something very, very important as the thing we are doing. We're trying to integrate to the workforce without the culture. People want to be part of the workforce, but they don't want to be part of the environment and the culture of the general society, the secular society. So, for now, what we are, one of the things we are doing in Bizmax is to do it separate just for a male. Just for men, for Haredi males, and we are not. The focus of Bizmax is not just to be a place for 100 companies. First of all, we have a lot of activities and achievements for the people from all around Jerusalem. We are doing a lot of conferences and workshops and a lot of things for the people. But Bizmax is a role model for the Haredi community to see that you can be a Haredi community with their unique dress and unique way of life, and still open a startup and to be an high-tech person and everything. So So that's what we are doing now. We are focused in this. We have a lot of work to do, but we're working.
Yeah. So that listening to Yitzik describing the challenges of addressing this topic to the ultra-Orthodox community. Do you, I don't know, first of all, how do you approach the Arab and Haredi groups also in like in East Jerusalem? How do you discuss with them the integration, their willingness to integrate into this tech ecosystem from the governmental side?
I think that the government shouldn't be directly with specific organizations. And I think that when trying to integrate communities like the ultra-Orthodox or like the Arab population, first of all, we need to understand their characteristics, their needs. We need to adapt ourselves. Avital spoke earlier of giving grants for 3.5 months, giving scholarships so the women could keep on providing for their families. So it's the same here. I think it would be very patronizing on our side to come and tell them, yeah, this is what you should do because it works in Tel Aviv and it works for the people that live in secular places in Jerusalem or in other places in Israel. I think that the first step is to listen to the needs and again know the characteristics of each community. And as I said before, it's a process and we're trying to accelerate it and we're trying to shorten it. For example, by using forces in the academy. But some processes cannot be accelerated. Some things, the community needs to have its own role models. And then once each community has their own role models, they know what Yitzik said, that you can keep both things. You don't have to give up your way of life and you don't have to, and it's also true towards the Arab population. We have different challenges, very big challenges with the Arab population in Jerusalem. Only recently, 6 months ago, when the government authorized a resolution with large sums of money in order to try and narrow those gaps. But again, it should be done by discussing with them on their needs.
Right.
So I don't have, that's the only opinion I can have. That's the only opinion I'm allowed to have.
Yeah. And now, of course, I don't know whether the audience is familiar with the recent elections in Jerusalem. A new mayor was elected.
Yes.
So this will also bring maybe ideas, or how it's a question, it's an open question really. How do you see the chance of working with Moshe Dion? Nearby Kat, I've known him quite well. He came from the high-tech business. He brought this entrepreneurship idea and atmosphere into the city. Do you expect this to also happen with Moshe Dion? What are you wanting, or what are you expecting from this new municipality?
First of all, it was mentioned throughout this panel, collaboration and cooperation.
Yeah.
That's keywords. You can't have one without the other, and the government or private sector or public sector, NGOs cannot work in a city without having the support of the mayor. It's true that Nir Barkat came from the entrepreneurship and high-tech world, but Moshe Leon was the acting chairman of the Jerusalem Development Authority, which is the main economic motor of the city. Most of the governmental funds are utilized through the JDA, through the Jerusalem Development Authority, so it's very well known with the strategy of trying to encourage startups in order for them to grow and be the next Mobileye or Intel. Even Google started with an idea of someone's head. So he's familiar with these ideas, and I'm sure we'll have a very good collaboration. As for the narrowing socioeconomic gaps with the Arab population, he initiated, as he was a member of the municipality for the past 5 years, so he initiated quite a few times tours with the Ministry of Treasury in order to assess and better the situation in East Jerusalem. So I trust we'll have a very good cooperation with him and with the administration.
Yeah. And this is true for you all. Michael?
Yeah, I cannot say that I'm not slightly disappointed with the elections, but this is my own opinion. The thing is, as far as I understand, politicians, they cannot do the actual work on ground. They definitely can support it and come take a picture with us when it succeeds. So it is true for every politician, and we are here to do the work on the ground and brick by brick create a reality.
Avital?
I agree with you.
You agree with me?
Yeah. Also, personally, I was a tiny bit disappointed with
Yeah.
Yeah, and also hearing from Sarit about it.
Yeah, so cooperation. Yeah, and Yitzik, I assume that you are
I'm
also
not part of the political game, so
yeah.
I can't say I'm disappointed. I didn't move
Yeah.
from no one. As Sarit said, I hope, and everyone said, I hope to collaborate with them. I think we need the support of the municipality of Jerusalem, and we hope to work with them.
Yeah.
We didn't meet them yet after the election. I met them a few times before the election.
Okay.
Not at the election period, but just before.
Yeah.
And we hope to sit with them and to see what we can do. And
actually, I don't know whether there are any questions from the audience. Maybe we would have another 5 minutes if you want to ask the panelists something that is of interest to you. Any questions about the work, the hopes, the challenges?
also clear or it's not interesting?
Well, I would have another question. Okay.
I just want to know a little bit more, maybe in short, about Mobileye and or on the pastry shop, or just what makes businesses successful. I'm guessing that the Mobileye is more high tech and the pastry is a little not so high tech. I don't know, but you were saying that kind of shop, and also what makes these startups fail? Like what are factors that you've seen that are just really important? You said they have a high success rate. And what maybe causes failure for you?
So, if I knew the exact answer, we were sitting in my limo now and talking about it. But there are a few factors that we know for a fact that are contributing to success. So, knowing the customer and the need is super important. The market should be big enough. For example, if the problem you are addressing is very big, but the market is not big enough, it's not going to work. For example, cancer, huge problem. 2 people in the world suffering from it, not really a market. So we are looking into the business side and the problem, and of course the team. If the team can deliver, let's say that they have a good idea, the market is big enough, the problem is big enough, but the team cannot really deliver, so it's not going to work. And there are so many things that we're doing along the way to encourage this know-how. And we're using, of course, the Lean Startup Machine System, and we're teaching lots of other tools. And it's so big that we need another panel for this.
And one more thing for I think the secret sauce for success for startups is time. You can take a lot of examples. Take Facebook. Without the smartphones, Facebook will not exist. So you're not going to use Facebook when you'll be home after the day. You're posting online everything. So the timing of to take YouTube without the MP4 and set up the problem of the codec. That was one of the biggest problems of the broadcasting video. So the timing of the idea, together with the idea and the team and the market, I think that's but not just in Jerusalem. Now the timing in Jerusalem now it's the time for Jerusalem. After 3,000 years.
Any more questions from the audience? No? So I close with last and final question to the four panelists. When I once spoke with Nir Barkat, the former mayor, he said to me, "You name a problem, we have it." That's what he said. What would you say is the biggest problem to overcome for Jerusalem as a city of coexistence, of shared living, culture, and the vivid startup scene, as we said in the beginning? And when, from your standpoint, will it be solved? Start with Avital.
Wow. I think it's an economic problem. The fact that many young people leave the city because they don't see their future, their career there is a big problem. And that's, I think, one of the holdbacks from the city, growing and striving. When will it be solved? I think collaboration, cooperation, what everyone here is doing and the people who are speaking after us, and just people who care, who are coming and making this change, is changing already.
Sarit?
I think that, first of all, it's not a problem, it's a challenge. And I think that the most pressing challenge that the city of Jerusalem is dealing with is how to generate enough income to support the population until the time comes when the socio-economic gaps will be narrowed and less budget, less money will have to go to welfare activities and more to development. So again, we can discuss on it all day. I don't want to bore the members here, the friends here, but generating income, you have to do it by creating enough industrial areas. Industrial areas should be eventually inhabited by companies, employees, again, the whole process. But that's the most pressing issue in my mind.
Yeah. You share her view, Yitzik?
Yeah, I think he said, Nibakat said, give me one problem, give me a name of a problem, and that we have it. I think give me an opportunity, and we have it. We have other opportunities. In Jerusalem, we have something that I think it's very, very unique in Jerusalem, that we always talk about the collaboration. We have, for example, we have a WhatsApp group of all the community leaders, more than 200 community leaders in Jerusalem. We all working together, sharing ideas, and we have a meeting once a month. We all work together, and we all with the same challenge and the same opportunities to do the city better.
Completely agree with this. I think the spirit of people in Jerusalem is what's actually giving me lots of motivation and energy to move forward and go brick by brick.
Yeah. Well, that's actually also my motivation, working for Jerusalem and trying to make this city attractive also to German people to support Jerusalem. Yeah. So, well, a big thank you to all of you. I think it was a very interesting insight to what Jerusalem is all about in terms of its beauty, its opportunity, and also it gives me a very positive outlook to how much power Jerusalem has, also in a modern sense. So let's hope that we'll sit back on this panel maybe in 5 years and see what has developed by then. Thanks very, very much, and thank you for your patience, and I hope you enjoyed this panel, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the Israel Congress. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.